Imagine a small village built on the edge of a cliff, where the sea crashes against the rocks as if trying to tell forgotten stories. In that place lived a man named Elias. People didn't admire him for wealth or power. They admired him for something far rarer. He never complained. Not once. Elias lived with a horse so unusual that people called it Lumine because its silver coat seemed to glow even on cloudy days. For most villagers, it was just an animal. But for Elias, it was peace, a memory, a friend, a quiet companion who held his world together. And then one morning Lumine disappeared. No sounds, no tracks, no explanation, while the entire village rushed to say, "What a tragedy, Elias." He simply answered with a calmness that unsettled everyone. Tragedy. Luck. Who can truly know? Stay until the end. This story might change the way you judge your own life. Elias owned nothing valuable. No boats, no treasures, no land. His home was a humble wooden cabin that smelled of salt and thyme. But he carried something everyone secretly longed for. An inner stillness that storms couldn't touch. Every afternoon he walked with Lumine along the high cliffs, watching the waves break below. That horse was the last living reminder of his late wife, and losing him felt like losing her all over again. Merchants from distant harbors would offer gold, spices, even ships in exchange for Lumine. But Elias always responded with the same quiet firmness. I cannot sell what gives me silence when the world screams. People mocked him, others pitied him. But Elias remained unshaken. The real test, however, was about to begin. On a foggy morning, Lumine was gone. The rope that tied him had snapped, frayed as if pulled by an invisible force. Footprints faded into the mist. Villagers gathered quickly to witness what they believed was the downfall of Elias. We warned you. You should have sold him. Now you have nothing. But Elias did not argue. He didn't defend himself. He simply looked out toward the gray horizon and repeated, "Tragedy, luck. Who can say?" Days passed. People moved on. The story became old gossip, until a child's voice echoed from the cliffs. Elias Lumine is back. The villagers rushed outside, expecting just a silver horse, but what they saw made their jaws drop. Lumine wasn't alone. Behind him came 3 wild stallions, powerful and dark, their muscles rippling like waves in a storm. What incredible luck. You lost 1 horse, and now you have 4. But Elias didn't celebrate. He didn't smile. He simply said, "Luck. Tragedy. Who can know for sure?" This time, no one dared argue. Something about his calmness began to feel. Wise Elias's son, Adrian, however, saw more than wisdom. He saw opportunity. Young, ambitious, and stubborn. He thought those wild horses were the answer to their poverty. "If I can tame them, our lives will change," he said. Without waiting, he mounted the fiercest of the 3. The animal bucked like lightning. It twisted, it kicked, it roared against the reins. Until Adrian was thrown violently to the ground. The sickening crack of his leg echoed across the field. Villagers ran toward him. What a disaster. This is terrible. All because of those wild animals. But Elias knelt beside his son, held his trembling hand, and whispered only, "Disaster. Luck. Who can say?" If this story is already touching something inside you, hit the like button so it reaches someone who might need it. Time slowed. Adrian, broken and frustrated, lay confined to his bed. Rage visited him often. Doubt visited even more. But Elias stayed with him, offering only presence, not pressure. And just when the village thought the family had already endured enough, something darker arrived. War ships appeared through the coastal fog. Soldiers marched into the village carrying lists and orders. Every young man was to be recruited immediately, and mothers wept. Fathers stared in helpless silence. Young men tried to hide the terror in their eyes. When soldiers reached Elias's home, they saw Adrian lying in bed, his leg still healing. They marked his name on a separate list. Exam spared, safe. And for the first time, the villagers were silent, not out of confusion, but out of awe. His accident saved him, they whispered. If he hadn't fallen, he would be marching toward the battlefield right now. Now, no one dared judge Elias's calmness. Something about his way of seeing life was beginning to make sense. Over the next weeks, villagers began visiting Elias, not to gossip but to listen. They saw how he walked along the cliffs without hurry, how he breathed as if the air itself carried answers, how he seemed to trust life more than he trusted certainty. One fisherman finally asked, "How do you stay so calm? How do you know what is good or bad?" Elias looked at the sea for a long moment before answering. Life doesn't reveal itself all at once. A blessing can become a burden can become protection. Naming something too quickly steals the wisdom time is trying to teach us. The fisherman looked down. For the first time, he understood something. Not everything, but enough. Little by little, the village changed. People spoke less, listened more, judged with caution. They began to see their own misfortunes not as endings, but as moments in motion. One afternoon, a curious child approached Elias and asked, So, does everything happen for a reason? Elias smiled softly. Yes, but that reason doesn't always show itself when you want it to. Some reasons need time, others need silence. The child nodded, satisfied in a way that only children can be. Elias never sought followers. He didn't want to be seen as a wise man. He simply lived with quiet integrity, and from that stillness, he transformed an entire village. He taught them the most powerful lesson. Do not judge too soon, because what hurts today might be saving you from something you cannot yet see, and what shines today might be testing you more than you realize. Life isn't a straight line, it's a tide dot, and the tide always returns what belongs to you. Write in the comments, I don't judge before it's time. I want to read your reflection. Thank you for listening to this story. Subscribe for more tallies that heal, awaken, and transform. And now, go watch the next video. Maybe the answer you've been searching for is waiting right there.